Hi there guys, Tom Quayle here. Hope everybody's doing very well as ever. Now this is without a doubt one of the most exciting videos I've ever put together for this YouTube channel or my career generally, because today is the day I can announce to you guys that my debut app Solo is available to download in the App Store right now. Solo has been designed by myself and my good buddy David Beebee as the ultimate fretboard visualization practice tool, but I want to explain to you why we created Solo in the first place. I've been teaching guitar and playing guitar for around 25 years now, and it's been my experience that the traditional ways of teaching fretboard visualization are really as much of a burden for guitar players as they are a help. I've been thinking for many years now about this process, this complex process of mapping out the fretboard for guitar players. And I really believe that this system of utilizing multi-octave 6-string shapes like 3-note per string, the cage system, pentatonic boxes, really present a lot of problems and like a brick wall barrier for a lot of guitar players in their ability to manipulate harmony in real time whilst improvising over chord changes or learning new scales. And this is fundamentally because when we learn these large shapes, we don't pay enough attention to how each of the notes within these large shapes relates back to the root note of the chord or scale that we're utilizing or playing over at the time. This makes improvisation with these large shapes very difficult because it's very hard to manipulate large pieces of information as compared to very small pieces of information. Now, this is where Solo comes in. Solo is designed to help you learn the fretboard in much more detail by always having you think about how each note that you play relates to the chord or scale that you're utilizing at the time. Solo works by utilizing a system of visualization called intervallic functions. Now, if you guys follow this channel, you might remember I did a video a couple of months ago called How I Visualize the Fretboard. And essentially what I'm doing in that video is teaching people this system of visualizing using intervallic functions. Now, don't worry if you've never heard of intervallic functions before. You can check out the video above here or down below in the description. And in that video, I go through this system of visualization, which I believe fundamentally is the most powerful way of visualizing the fretboard. If you want to be able to play over changes, kind of master harmony on the fretboard and really be able to play any scale anywhere on the fretboard. It kind of sounds like snake oil, but believe me guys, it's not. It's still incredibly hard work, but I believe that practicing in this way with intervallic functions really gives you the most powerful, flexible, and ultimately most rewarding and satisfying way of visualizing this quite complex instrument. It's our goal with Solo to help solve some of these problems that guitar players have in their ability to manipulate harmony on the fretboard and visualize harmony in a useful way that's not based on these large shapes. Also, if any of you guys have bought my Visualizing the Fretboard tutorial from my website, which is also linked below, Solo acts as the ultimate companion practice tool for that tutorial. So it's well worth getting if you guys have bought that tutorial and have enjoyed it. So with all of that said, let's check out Solo. I'm going to show you how it works, what it does, and why it really could be, if you're prepared to do the work with this app, be completely transformatory for so many guitarists out there in your ability to visualize the fretboard and improvise freely with scales and arpeggios around the instrument. So here we are guys, let's launch Solo. Let's tap on the app just here. And this is what you're going to see when you first load up Solo. So here we've got 4 different sections of the app. We've got the changes playing trainer, the scale trainer, we've got the tutorials. There's a bunch of different tutorials in here that David and I put together explaining how to utilize the app and get the most from it, what the best ways of practicing with it are, all sorts of different things in there, some general tips and tricks. And then we've got the settings screen where you can customize different features of the app to your liking. Let's go back to the changes playing trainer. And I just want to show you what Solo does and how it does it really, really quickly. So I'm just going to set up a changes playing workout. I'm going to select root 3rd, 5th and 7th here. Then I'm going to select autumn leaves and hit start. I'll go through all of this in more detail in a minute. And this is where you will spend most of your time with Solo. We've got the name of the song up here. We've got the chord that we want to be playing over at this point. It's the first chord of autumn leaves, C minor 7. Then we've got a bunch of intervallic functions on the bottom. Now, rather than making you play through some giant scale shape or some giant arpeggio shape, Solo is asking you very specifically to find and play the 1, the flat 3, the 5, and the flat 7 of this particular chord. All of these intervals are currently blue, and it's waiting for me to play them. So if I play the root note, or 1C, check that out. It's basically recognized, it's analyzed what I played, it's recognized that that's the root note, and it's grayed that out and moved on to the next note, the flat 3. Now I'm going to find and locate on my guitar the flat 3, and the beauty here is I can take as long as I want to find this note. There is no rush for me to find it because solo's not going to move on. There's no time-based pressure. So I know the flat 3 is here. There we go. I know the 5 is here, and I know the flat 7 is here. I got all those notes correct, and solo has moved on to the next chord, in this case F7, F dominant 7th. And again, because of the level I selected, it's asking me to find the 1, the 3, the 5, and the flat 7 of this chord. Now the cool thing about solo is it's totally intelligent. We have taught solo the entirety of jazz harmony, so it can accurately map out this sequence 1, 3, 5, 7, this generic sequence, onto every single chord in this tune. You don't need to know, you don't need the cognitive ability or to take the time to figure out what notes to play. You just need to be able to find them on the fretboard. So it's a laser focused tool for visualizing in a super detailed way on the fretboard. So I'm going to play the 1, F, then the 3, then the 5, then the flat 7. Now in this case, we've got again B flat major 7, 1, 3, 5, 7. I'm going to play the 1, then descend to the 3, then the 5. And then in this case, if I get the 7 wrong, I'm playing a flat 7 here by mistake against the B flat. Solo is not going to move on. It knows this is the wrong note. So I'm going to play the 7 instead. And then we get the next chord, 1, 3, 5, 7. 1, flat 3, flat 5, flat 7. 1, 3, 5, flat 7. So on and so forth. And it will go as fast as you can go. Now there's a bunch of different ways that you can customize not only the level that you choose, but you can customize the level once you've chosen it. So we could come in and say, let's randomize these intervals. So now it's going to randomize between root, 3rd, 5th, 7th. That means you can't just play up an existing pattern that you've learned, which is a classic guitaristic thing to do when you're learning to visualize the fretboard. We just learn a shape and then we play that shape up and down and we can't manipulate it. In this way, when I come in here and start this changes workout, now the intervals are in a different order, a randomized order, and I really have to think hard about where these notes are because I can't just play up and down that shape I've learned. So now let's find C here. I know the flat 3 in relation to this C is here. The 5 is here, the flat 7, and then the 1. I'm not thinking about a giant shape. Here's the 5 of F7 related to this root note here. There's 5. The flat 7 I can play here. I'm visualizing it from this F. Here's the 1, then the 3. Now I've got, there's my B flat root notes. I'm going to play 3, 1, 5, 7. And then we have E flat major 7, 5. I'm visualizing from this E, 5, 3, 1, 7. So on and so forth. If you're a more advanced player, come in and select one of these melodic structures and you can work through those instead. So you could say, okay, well, 1, 2, flat 7, 5. Okay, well, let's work through C minor 7, 1, 2, flat 7, 5. Solo intelligently maps these intervallic functions to the next chord, so it's selected a melodic sequence that's going to work for this particular chord. So flat 7, 2, 6, 5. And then the same thing for B flat major 7, it's selected a melodic sequence that works well for this. So flat 7, 2, 6, 5. And this is all really good for your ears because you're constantly hearing harmony being played specifically on the guitar. And at any point you go wrong, solo will know that you're not playing the right notes and won't move on until you find the right ones. So it's a constant reinforcement of the visual and oral feedback of getting this stuff right without relying on giant shapes as you play. So I'm going to tap out of here and now go to the scale trainer. Okay, I'll go through the interface in a second in more detail. Let's set up a scale workout. Now with the scales, I'm going to be working exclusively with scales as opposed to chord changes. So in this case, I get a bunch of different scales to select. I've got my major and minor pentatonic, I've got my major scale modes, I've got my melodic minor modes, harmonic minor, harmonic major modes, and my symmetrical scales. Let's select the melodic minor scale here. Got the starting root of C. Again, I won't go through all the options now because I just want to show you what this does and how it works. But trust me, guys, there are an almost infinite number of workouts that you can create using the upper options here and then the workout options on both of these screens, the changes playing and the scale trainer. Let's tap on the scale trainer here, and it's presented me with a C melodic minor scale and the intervallic functions that make up that scale, which are 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. I'm going to play through them. So I'm going to pick this C here as my root note, and I'm going to play 1, then 2, flat 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then the 1. It's then going to go back to the beginning and ask me to play C melodic minor again. Now I could choose to play the same fingering and just run that, or I could choose a different fingering. The point here is that solo is making you hyper aware of how each note that you play relates to the root note by its function. We're not showing you large scale shapes. We're not getting you playing across 6 strings. We're not getting you playing these giant shapes just so you can run up and down them. We're trying to make you super aware of where each of these intervallic functions is within this scale. So I could do this. I could play 1 here, and then 2 here, then flat 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. I'm manipulating the fretboard in real time. And again, the really cool thing here is you can take as long as you need to find these notes, and solo will not move on until you've got them correct. So 1, if I play the wrong note here, solo's not going to move on until I play the correct note. Now, another cool thing is that we can totally change the order of these notes, and we can change the order that the scales occur in. So we could have a random, let's say, here I go, random. I'm going to get random melodic minor scales, starting with a root note of C at the beginning, and I'm going to get a random order of notes. This is way harder for most guitar players. So now it wants me to play 1, 6, 2, and then 5, 7, 4, flat 3, and 1. Now you cannot do this unless you have a really good grasp of the fretboard, and being able to do this in real time is so powerful. You can see now it's moved on to G melodic minor, and it's given me another randomized set of functions within that scale. Things like this are so useful to do. They really are. And again, there's a bunch of different options here that we can utilize. If I go back to here, I can have a C melodic minor scale going from the 3rd note in the scale to the 3rd note. So we could do this. Now let's play C melodic minor, but from the flat 3 up to the flat 3 again. Flat 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, flat 3. But let's say that's too complicated for you. You're a beginner at this kind of stuff. You don't have a lot of fretboard knowledge. You can't even find note names all over the fretboard. Solo has you covered too. Even if you're an advanced player or a beginner, there are tons of different options for you. Let's say you want to get really good at just finding root notes all over the fretboard. I can come into the changes playing trainer, select the root note workout. Let's pick a different tune. So let's go for All the Things You Are. Hit the start changes workout, and we're only presented with 1s or root notes. I can find 1 for F. Then I'm going to find the nearest B flat. Then I'm going to find the nearest E flat. Then A flat, D flat. And I can take as long as I need. Solo's going to sit there and wait until I find the right note. If I play the wrong notes, get the right note eventually, G, so on and so forth, C. So you can take as long as you need to find these things. Let's say you've done that. Now let's pick root and 3rd. You don't need to know which 3rd is the correct one for each chord. Solo is going to tell you. So in this case, I've got F minor 7. I've got to locate 1 and flat 3. Now the way I visualize the fretboard, the whole principle of how this is so powerful is because you should do this all within 1 octave ascending or descending. And what I've done through practicing in the way that solo helps you practice is I've learned what every single possible intervallic function looks like on the guitar within 1 octave ascending or descending. So I know that this 1 to flat 3 looks like this. It's this shape on the same string. It could also be this shape on 2 adjacent strings. It could be this shape descending. Okay, I've learned what all of these intervallic functions look like. This is what my Visualizing the Fretboard tutorial teaches you. And we have all of these shapes written out within Solo. So if we go to the tutorials here, go to the intervallic function shapes, we've written out all of the possible shapes that you would need to learn all of these intervallic functions all over the guitar, ascending and descending. So if I go back to my workout here, this route to flat 3, rather than thinking about a giant scale shape and getting lost within that scale shape, I can be way more efficient by thinking, okay, 1 and flat 3 looks like this from F. Okay, here's my B flat. It wants 1 and flat 3. I can use exactly the same shape. Here's my E flat. Okay, now I just have to raise it to the major third. Solo's asking for a natural 3. So on and so forth. Now, if you're not good at this, you can't find these intervallic functions, we have tutorial material within Solo that will help you to be able to find them. And again, it's the ultimate practice tool companion for my Visualizing the Fretboard tutorial. So if you've got that already, this really is essential in terms of your practice setup. So there's a ton of different things you can do. We can make this as complicated as we like or as simple as we like. If we go to the chord scales, let's select all the things you are, chord scales, let's reverse them, and then start changes workout. Solo's going to ask me for all the intervals of each of the chord scales, and because it's intelligent, it understands jazz harmony, it's going to map each of these functions correctly for each of the chords within the tune. Even if you transpose it, it doesn't matter what you do, we've always given you the correct intervallic functions for each chord, dependent on what it is in the tune, where it is in the key, or if it's a 2-5-1 or any harmonic scenario. So in this case, I'm going to find F. I know my flat 7 is here. I know my flat 6 is here. I know my 5. And I'm visualizing all of these from this F root note. Here's my 4, my flat 3, again from this F root note, my 2, and then here's the lower root note. Now we've got B flat. I'm going to visualize from this nearest B flat here, flat 7, 6, 5, 4. What I'm now going to do, I'm actually going to play the flat 3 here, which I'm visualizing from this B flat here. And then I'm going to play 2 and then 1. This is so, so powerful. And if you get really good at this, Solo can keep up with you. So on and so forth. So it's super accurate. It always knows what you're playing, and it really is the most efficient way to develop fantastic fretboard knowledge on the guitar. So there we go, guys. That is Solo. It's been a huge amount of work, so rewarding, and I can't wait to get it into your hands and see what you guys think of it. We genuinely believe this could be transformatory for so many guitar players in terms of the way that they think about the fretboard and are able to manipulate it in real time whilst improvising, even over the most complex of chord changes. We'll be updating Solo regularly, releasing new features as we go along. We'll also be adding more and more chord changes to the app. They'll be updated regularly, probably weekly as we go through, and also as we get some different tunes requested and adding multiple genres as well, just generally adding more and more features. It's available now on the App Store for iPhone and iPad for less than the price of a takeaway pizza, basically, for a tool that could totally transform your playing. Now, a quick note, Android users, we have not forgotten about you. I apologize it's not available on Android devices from the get-go, but the realities of developing as a three-man team with just one developer means that we cannot focus on more than one platform at a time, unfortunately. So we absolutely plan to get this out on Android as soon as possible. So keep your eyes and ears peeled for a release date for that as soon as we can get it done. You'll find a link below to take you to the App Store to check out the app for your individual devices. And we really, really hope you guys have a lot of fun and find the work that is required to utilize this app properly and all the lesson material so rewarding. We absolutely find it rewarding ourselves. And of course, Solo was made for us, so we find it really great and hope you guys do too. All right, guys, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for watching. I really hope everybody has a fantastic new year. And of course, that 2021 is better than the disaster that 2020 was. Hopefully Solo is something good that came out of that for the guitar community. So thank you guys for watching, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye-bye. Welcome to Solo, the ultimate app for learning the guitar fretboard. Visualize the neck, master scales, and play through changes like a pro with intervallic functions. Solo is a highly focused practice tool for developing your note finding and visualization skills. Using common progressions, Solo shows you one chord symbol or scale at a time and asks you to find and play a series of notes based on their intervallic function. Solo listens to what you play and only moves on once you've correctly found each note. By using the workout options, you can build and customize an almost limitless number of new and challenging ways to practice for beginners or advanced players alike. Solo gives you the most powerful and efficient way to control the fretboard, no matter how hard the chord changes or scales are. Download Solo today and start transforming your playing and confidence on the guitar.